It's another rare type of video for you today. It's an interview. I'm going to be having Ryan from the Disconnected channel here on my channel today. And we're just going to talk about all sorts of things. We're going to talk a little bit about what he does, and then we're going to get into his top 5 favorite Giallo movies and also my updated top 5. So it's a pretty long chat, but it's very chill, very fun. So sit back. I hope you enjoy. We also did a video over on Ryan's channel, the Disconnected channel. And if you're not following him, I would highly recommend it. He talks about all things physical media, news, and more. And yeah, you should check out the video that I'm in on his channel because he drops some very special news on me that I had no idea was coming. So let's go ahead and get into it. Special thanks to Ryan for appearing on the channel and having me on his channel. I hope you guys enjoy. Hello, I am joined here tonight by Ryan from Disconnected. Thank you for being here, Ryan.
Thanks, Katie. Happy to be here.
It's been a long time since I've had somebody on my channel, so I am looking forward to this.
It's an honor.
So let's just get started by giving you give us a little introduction. Tell us a little about your YouTube channel, which you started in 2021. Talk about what goes on over there for those who may have not had the pleasure of viewing your videos yet.
A lot. Every Thursday night, I do a live show that covers all of the physical media announcements from the entire week before. Sometimes it's as few as like 30 titles. Sometimes it's literally over 100. And we cover all of them, the release dates, what's going to be on the discs and everything. And I always have a guest. And so before we go into the announcements, we go over what we've been watching, discs we've picked up recently, and then my favorite part is after all the announcements, we have some sort of film discussion, usually like a top 5 sort of thing, or just a general check in on some certain trope or something in film that we want to discuss. But other than that, I also put out an interview, usually every Monday-ish, depending on how busy the week has been, with somebody from the industry. It's been really great to get some of these people on the channel. I've had people that are owners of some of these labels that put out the films on physical media. I've had directors, I've had actors, I've had other YouTubers, I've had podcasts, I've had so many people that I've connected with over the years, some that I'm insanely proud of, names that I never expected to be able to get on the channel, and I'm happy to be able to be doing this, and that's pretty much it.
I'm sure your guests are really glad that they took you up to be on your channel because you have really great conversation.
I appreciate that.
You ask great questions.
I try to make some people feel at home, and I feel like a handful of times I've had, especially, like ones that do a lot of press, like directors, they'll be like, oh, that was a good question. Yeah, let's talk about that. And they're actually excited to have a conversation because they always get the same questions.
Right. And being so in the know in physical media news is just really good information, okay? Because, for example, you just informed me that my favorite movie ever is getting an HD release.
Yeah.
Gummo has been picked up by Criterion.
Yeah, Blu-ray and 4K. It's a big, big deal.
It's going to be so great. Anyway, so I'm looking forward to learning a little bit more about you. I've had to hold back on these questions because I knew I was going to be asking you in this video.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that you got started in the music industry. So I wanted to ask you, what is your favorite genre or musical artist?
Wow. I don't have a lot of time to listen to music nowadays, and it's kind of depressing. I have listened to literally everything. I'm one of those people that's annoying that when they say, what kind of music do you like? That will literally say anything.
I believe you, though.
I've listened to everything from death metal to ska punk to like Russian folk music, and I find something to enjoy in most of it. And lately, I would say I'm still in a big ska punk phase. It never goes away. I was a marching band kid, so there's something about saxophones and trumpets and trombones in rock music that makes me feel a little more attached to the music. And I am just like many of the other, I don't know, 25 million supposed monthly listeners on Spotify that has fallen in love with Chapel Roan this year. Chapel Roan is freaking incredible, and I cannot stop listening to these lesbian love songs. I love them.
Oh my gosh. That's great. You're very well rounded.
I tried to do my best. I was raised in a house that didn't really support that, and so I've tried to fight back against that in adulthood.
Okay, so as we can see behind you, you have a ton of Blu-rays and DVDs too, right? Or is it all Blu-rays? What you got?
Most behind me are Blu-rays and 4Ks. I've got in this giant collection. I probably have about 400 or 500 DVDs. That's it, though.
Oh wow, you're fancy. What? So what about VHS? Do you collect any tapes?
I've got in the house right now. I think I've got about 200 left. I even have. I think I've got about 25 laser discs still.
That's awesome.
I've set out a big plan for myself. We're planning on moving here pretty soon. We don't have an exact date or anything like that. But when I get to a new house, I want to make an evolution of physical media, like museum piece, sort of. Not a full museum, but I want to make like a gallery piece that shows John Carpenter on every single format of physical media. And so I've got John Carpenter laser discs, tapes, 4K, Blu-ray, DVD, VHS, everything like ready to go. I just got to mount it and everything. I'm really excited to do that.
That is so cool. I love it. Do you know how many discs you have?
I've lost counts. I'm at a point where I have to use an app, of course, so I don't like double buy something. But
Yeah.
and I also I do sell some things sometimes, and I don't always remember to delete them out of there. But if I had to guess, it's somewhere around 10,000 now. It's yes, it's pretty large. I've got certain shelves that are like literally 3 rows deep of movies. I've got I mean, I showed you before we went live, but I've got my window is literally stacked full of Blu-rays because I'm out of space, literally.
So they must be flowing in like groceries.
It's slowed down a lot. We're all kind of struggling here in 2024, so this isn't a necessity. It's something that I've had to make, some choices that I'd rather not make. I'm not buying as much as I used to nearly, but it's something that I love, and I've got like subscriptions that still come in, like Vinegar Syndrome. They still come in every single month, and I've got a couple companies that I work with that will send me some of the titles that I've worked on. So they still come in sometimes.
Nice. Well, you've got a lot to be admired back there.
I love them.
Okay. So from talking to you so far, it sounds like you love cinema in general. Just any genre, you've probably seen a little something.
At
I don't
least
know. That's just the impression that I'm getting. So I did want to ask what your favorite genre is, or what your favorites are. Like, what do you lean towards the most?
I mean, it's a good question. I tend to love like really intense thrillers. Kind of like we talked about on my channel. A lot of the horror movies don't scare me necessarily anymore, but there's something about a really intense thriller that I don't know, makes me feel something, and that sounds like I'm dead inside, but in a way, like it's 2024, and we kind of all are at this point, and so a movie that can draw an emotion out of you is super successful to me. So, something like Uncut Gems from 8 years ago or whatever, the Safdie brothers were able to have a movie that it starts pretty quickly, like Adam Sandler being this character that is intense very early in the situation that makes him anxious. You can feel your heart rate get elevated, and what's crazy, that movie keeps elevating it the entire film. And so movies like that I can just be all immersed in and really get to feel an emotional side drawn out. I love something like that.
So tension. When movies can't create fear, maybe they can create just that tension.
Exactly. I'm super into that. Yeah.
Are you on Letterboxd?
I am on Letterboxd. Yeah. This is going to sound ridiculous. I don't log everything I watch because a lot of what I watch, I'm watching because I have to watch it for projects and stuff. But
Uh,
I log as much as I possibly can.
so what is your top 4?
My top 4 is a very interesting. I mean, as we were just talking about, I watch a lot of stuff, and so somebody looking at this giant white man probably would not guess that a couple of these are on there. My current top 4, which has been my top 4 for quite some time, is Jurassic Park. It was fundamental for me as a child. What young boy didn't love dinosaurs for at least 6 months, and seeing that on film changed me. Like, it was one of those things that went, we can do almost anything in a movie. This is amazing. So I've loved that forever. And then a Muppets Christmas Carol. I have loved Jim Henson and the Muppets my entire life, so much so that I have a Muppet tattooed on my arm. I have Animal always watching over me in my videos, so, sitting up there in the top of my room.
Oh my gosh.
I adore everything about the Muppets, and I think that the Muppets Christmas Carol is the most successful of their adaptations, of their films, of drawing real like empathy out. And it's a beautiful movie that is literally perfect. I don't think that I could say any scene in that movie doesn't need to be a part of it. So I love that. And then to switch completely, Green Room, which is one of my favorite horror movies from the last 10 years, primarily because I started in the music side. And so watching Green Room, there were like memories that I could pinpoint and go, man, I was in a lot of dangerous situations as a late teenager and early adult, and I literally probably could have died, and my parents wouldn't have known where I was at the time. And I mean, I've been tear gassed at a show before, and so like watching Green Room, it was like this visceral. I appreciate how real this movie is, and I love that. And then I am a huge fan of Bo Burnham, and it's not necessarily a movie to some people, but I think Bo Burnham's Inside is going to be something that is studied 15 years from now as one of the best like one-man features in the history of art. I think I think Bo Burnham is a modern Renaissance man that is being completely underappreciated and deserves so much more love and attention.
Nice. So I guess I haven't seen any of those.
Whoa! I hope you check all of them out. They're all amazing.
I haven't
That's
seen
okay.
Jurassic Park.
I do my best to not gatekeep anything. I mean, we all have different journeys to film, and not watching Jurassic
Yeah,
Park, like, there's a lot of movies I haven't seen that people would go, "What? Yeah, like you got to watch that now."
I
I'm not
know.
going to
I
say that to
know.
you if it doesn't interest you. Why would I want you to watch it?
I still like to use the excuse of like, I wasn't allowed, okay? I wasn't allowed
I,
to watch Jurassic Park.
I wasn't even allowed to watch Power Rangers when I was a kid, so I totally get it.
Your City of the Living Dead mom wouldn't let you watch Power Rangers.
No, thankfully, I mean, at the time I was in a different household with my dad and stepmom, but
Oh,
yeah, that was a weird house to grow up in. They wouldn't let me watch Power Rangers, but they showed me Halloween when I was 8 years old. It doesn't make any sense.
okay. So you and your colleague have founded the Shelf Rock Shelf Rock what? Shelf Shock
There we go.
Rewind Awards.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about the Shelf Shock Rewind Awards.
So for the last 2 years, the weekend following Super Bowl Sunday, we have hosted a full-blown, essentially an Oscars for physical media. We give out, I think the first year was 25 awards, and the second year was 27, 28, something like that. And we have done our best to involve the community. So we have all of these very specific categories, and we allow creators, other YouTubers, podcasters, directors, filmmakers, people from these boutique labels to nominate titles that they think over the year they were the best titles in this category. And then I take those and mathematically choose which ones the top 5 were and give every category a write-in option. So nobody is guaranteed to lose. Somebody could write in and go on some big campaign to get any title, but Then we release that to the world, and everybody can go vote for a full month. And it has grown exponentially. People have gone in. The first year we only had a few hundred votes. The second year it was quite a lot more than that. We get literally hundreds of live viewers when we do this, and it's been recognized. Like, people are actually saying, I'm proud to have won this, and it's a big deal. This year was really cool because I was able to get people from all over the world to send in videos to introduce categories and announce the winners. And then most of the winners were actually in a video to accept the award. Like, it was this actual award ceremony thing that has suddenly turned into something that, like, people are looking forward to. I've seen in conversations I've not even been a part of, I've seen people say, I hope this wins a Shelf Shock Rewind Award next year. And I'm like, that's wild that people are actually
Oh my
taking that and being
gosh.
affected by it. Yeah.
Maybe one day it'll be in real life.
We've already joked about that. And we've joked about trying to get a grant to get actual trophies to send to the winners, and we're hoping that eventually we can do something like that. And
That's so
yeah,
cool.
it's a lot of work, but man, I'm super proud of what it's turned into, and it's only happened twice. This next year is going to be huge. I can already tell.
Maybe Gummo will win an award.
It very well is going to be eligible for quite a few of them.
Oh, that's so cool. So in addition to that, you run a production company where you work on physical media bonus features and consult with boutique companies. That
Yes.
sounds awesome. Tell us
It
about
can be.
that.
It's super stressful a lot of the time. I think it was September of 2023. My creative partner, his name is Will Dodson, and we publicly announced that we were starting this company called Someone's Favorite Productions. And we came up with the name because on my channel, I've had a lot of people that will be talking about a specific movie and then suddenly just like talk it down. And I don't love to do that. Like, movies take a lot to make. Movies are incredibly hard to get distributed. And the fact that we're on some small YouTube channel discussing a movie, you don't need to talk about how terrible it is, really. Like, somebody worked really hard to do it. So I came up with a saying a couple years ago that every single movie has been someone's favorite movie. Whether it's the director when he's done because he's full of himself, or it found like a very small fan base, or it's something like The Room and Tommy Wiseau can tour with it for the next 20 years after it comes out. Every single movie has been someone's favorite movie at one point or another. And so Someone's Favorite Productions was born. Last year during the summer in 2023, we got an opportunity to do a commentary for a release behind the scenes. We didn't tell anybody about it, and a couple of those were lining up, and we were like, we're loving doing this. What if we just kind of went all in on it and tried to do it with everything that we can? And we did. We announced it live in September of 2023, and since that day, I don't think there's been a single day that we weren't working on at least 3 different titles at the same time. And we've already seen releases for like 18 or 20 different titles that we've worked on just since September. And at the moment, we have like 35 pending titles that we're working on.
Oh
It's
my
been
gosh.
insane. We've exploded in opportunities very quickly, and I don't even know how to explain it. It still blows me away that it's happened. But I mean, the fact that like you can buy movies with my name on it in many of these stores across the country is mind-blowing to me.
You're out there killing it.
I'm trying. I don't get to sleep
Wow.
much, but yeah, I love it.
Well, I love the story behind Someone's Favorite Productions being the name. I think about that a lot. Even if I review a movie and roast it or say it was really bad, I always say, but I would be in it. I would be in that movie in a heartbeat.
Yep.
Like, I always think to myself, did these people not have a blast making this movie? Would I not
Exactly.
jump at the chance to be involved? Yes. It doesn't matter how bad it is. So I'm right there with you. Even though I do like talk crap about movies sometimes. It's like,
And that's
but I'll
totally
be in
okay.
it. Okay, so the last thing I wanted to talk to you about before we jump into our top favorite Giallo movies is your magazine, The Physical Media Advocate.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. You do so much.
Yeah,
Tell us about that.
I do a bit. Last June in 2023 is a big year for me. I have a Patreon, and I was trying to think of ways to, I don't know, give back to the community a little bit more. And so last June, I still can't believe it started like this, but I said, what if we had like a newsletter that we could just send out that people have somewhere where all of the information that you could want would all be in one place. And so last June, I sent out a 6-page newsletter. That's it, 6-page newsletter to my patrons, and it was release dates. It was some pictures, like some of my favorite picks of what was coming out in the next month. Nothing crazy. I think that first issue even had like a word search, just fun, like movie titles or something.
Aw, I
and
love
then
it.
the next month, like people read it and they were like, "This is really cool. I wish it had X." Or I had somebody from a label who read it and was like, "Here, I wrote this. If you want to put it in a copy of your
So it's
magazine."
like a zine. It started like a zine.
It started like a zine. And so I had these people contributing, and the second issue was like 14 pages after the first one was 6. And I was like, this is a lot of work. I don't know how we're going to keep doing this. And then the third issue came out, and it was like 18 pages, and it just kept growing a little bit. I'm submitting issue number 11 tonight. It's been going on for a little over a year, and it's up to over 60 pages. And we have we have people from literally all over the world that are regularly contributing. You're going to love this because I know that you appreciate Italian cinema. I'm friends with a producer who is on the ground, lives in Rome, and writes a column every single month about what he's doing for the people that he's interviewed for some of these releases. He's super connected. So like, I asked him to work on a title because I work for some of these companies sometimes, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I can go interview somebody. My grandma dated him back in the 70s." And I was like, "How do you know everybody? This is amazing."
Wow.
So yeah, beyond all that, it is now being released in physical form. At first, it was only going out digitally. I have a printed magazine in 2024. I hear that's the future, I guess, printed magazines. That was a joke. But what is mind-blowing to me is you can buy it on Amazon, which is the easiest way and how everybody consumes everything nowadays. But also, it's on sale in like 5 or 6 retail locations across the country, and it's going to be for sale in Canada soon in a retail store there. And I'm talking to somebody in Australia. Like, I'm going to LA next week, and I'm going to be able to walk into a store and see my magazine on sale on the rack. And that to me is like, I don't understand how that's possible. I'm just an idiot who lives in Kansas City, and somebody in LA is buying my magazine to sell to other people.
You got to take a picture in front of that magazine rack, like squatting in front of it.
Yeah. My proudest moment is that the magazine is for sale in Scarecrow Video, which is the largest publicly accessible archive of home video in the country, in Seattle. And my sister lives in Seattle. And so every single month she can walk into a store in Seattle and buy something her brother created and take a picture of it. And every single time it's so weird how life has ended up this way.
Wow. Congratulations.
Thanks.
That's incredible. I just learned about Scarecrow Video because I saw a YouTube video about it.
Nice. I mean, it's an important time to learn about Scarecrow Video because they're having a lot of problems this year.
Hopefully they can get some support.
They need
Stay
it.
afloat.
Sure.
Okay, folks, we are going to swap over to the final segment of this video where we talk about my top favorite Jolly and Ryan's top favorite Jolly.
I can't wait.
So, Ryan, give us your number 5.
My number 5 is a recent discovery. There is a new up-and-coming boutique label that is called Celluloid Dreams that just released a beautiful 4K release of the Edwidge Fenwick starring Case of the Bloody Iris, and I fell in love with this movie. It is the right level of beautiful to look at, but also just sleazy to the core. This movie is like funny and awkward and dramatic, and just it's one of those movies that has a world that I just want to get lost in. And it's a movie that the moment you start it, you are roped in because it is gorgeous in every scene. Like, you could pause that movie in every scene. I would love to hang that as a painting in my house. Every single one.
That's an excellent pick. I love that movie.
It's a great one.
I don't know why it's not higher up because I watch it all the time, but it's not going to be on my list. But that's okay because we're not having, that's one less repeat, you know?
Good.
So for and by the way, my 5 have changed. So anyone who thinks they know my top 5, I just changed it.
Interesting.
Slightly. So my number 5 is A Blade in the Dark from 1983, directed by Lamberto Bava. You've seen it, right?
I have, yeah.
A nice, clumsy 80s Giallo. One of the
Clumsy
first
is a
ones
good
I
word.
saw. Yeah. A really bad English dub.
Yeah.
And just very cheesy, but like, I was so interested in the way that it was so cheesy, but so graphic. The gore and the kills were just so extreme. I was like, is this supposed to be funny or serious? So I always loved that one.
This is a great pick. I do want to say that, just to shout out physical media here, A Blade in the Dark, for me, is the perfect example of why these discs are so important. I watched A Blade in the Dark for the first time like a year and a half or 2 years ago on, I think it was on Tubi, and it looked awful. It is just not a great looking version of this movie. And then it just so happened that just after that, Vinegar Syndrome announced this gorgeous, lavish 4K box set that they were putting out of it. And I got it in, and I was like, well, I'm a subscriber, so I'm going to get it as part of the package. But I didn't like the movie that much. Maybe I'll get rid of it, but I'll watch it again to see. I put in the 4K, and it changed my view of the movie entirely. The movie is amazing. Tubi ruined the movie for me. Streaming just, it makes it look like such a terrible movie. It looks like all the color was drained out of it. There's no sharpness there, of course, because it's compressed to death. And watching it by a company that knows what they're doing, restoring these films, put onto the biggest possible physical media disc, I fell in love with the movie. It is so much better than Tubi made it out to be.
Yeah, I've watched some things on Tubi where I can't understand what they're saying then like there aren't subtitles available or closed captions or whatever, or the picture's so bad. And I put up with a lot, but there are some films I watched on Tubi that I'm like, I can't look at it. I can't look at it like this.
I agree. I'm not necessarily a quality snob, but I do think it's nice to highlight how much just a good restoration of a film can change the way you feel about a film entirely.
Mm-hmm. So give us your number 4.
Number 4, we talked about over on my channel already, so I won't languish this to death, but I think Lucio Fulci's film Don't Torture a Duckling is a masterpiece. Even though it's only my number 4, this movie is, I mean, frankly, it's almost perfect for me. I think this movie is beautifully shot. It is, there's something about this movie. Fulci is able to capture landscapes in this movie in a way that he doesn't get in a lot of his movies. And I think it's because he chose some really interesting angles that usually in his Gates of Hell trilogy, his stuff is more confined. He's stuck in a room, and so he can't back up as far as he wants. But in Don't Torture a Duckling, a lot of his stuff is over a cityscape or framing next to a bridge. And because he has all of the space behind him, he's able to get something in that camera that he couldn't get out of doing somebody in Gates of Hell where you're looking at them being hit with a pickaxe while they're buried alive. And that's hard to film, but I don't know. The movie is done in a way that is shocking still. And when you have watched a lot of Fulci films, you kind of know what to expect, but this movie still hits you out of nowhere. And it's a scathing attack on the church at the time. And I think that for him to do that was a really brave move and something that I think he pulled off in a very unique way. And he doesn't get the credit for subverting the system as much as he should have, I think.
That's a great pick. I've seen the movie twice. And the second time around, I watched it and I can definitely see what a well-balanced, I think it's one of his more well-balanced works.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, it's hard to explain, but it's like a full circle, you know? It's not like this crazy haphazard nonsensical movie. It makes a lot of sense.
Yep.
And the reason that it doesn't rank higher for me is because it's so dirty and it's not glamorous.
It's not glamorous at all.
It's just dirty and dusty.
Yep.
But it is a really, really good film.
Good.
Okay, I'm curious if you've seen my number 4. It is Ricardo Freda's Murder Obsession from 1981.
Murder Obsession. The name does not sound familiar. I don't think so.
It has Laura Gemser in it and Anita Strindberg. And John Richardson. But
I've seen this poster. It's a good poster.
It's a great movie. It's sort of like a gothic, obviously past the prime of the genre, but it's a gothic with it's just a mishmash of all kinds of cult and supernatural and yeah, just general slasher elements. And some people think it's a mess, but I just really love it. I think it's super fun.
Well, to point out something that I see on your channel a lot that I appreciate about you, I'm going to watch that very soon because I just realized it's on my shelf right over there, and I'm going to give it a watch.
Yes! Can't wait to hear what you think.
It was put out by Raro Video in the U.S. on Blu-ray, and I hope it looks great.
I have that.
Nice.
Yeah. How did I get that? I think I bought that one.
My number 3 is from a director that we both just said that we love over on my channel, and I had to give at least one pick to the master, and so I'm going to go with D'Argento's Tenebrae. Tenebrae, I think, is one of his best. Absolutely. It's got some of his most iconic imagery in it. It is from 1982, still at the height of his ability. He hadn't really taken the dive of the 90s where his quality started to go down a lot and people started to, hey, maybe we shouldn't just worship everything he does because he's Argento. So it's a movie that I feel like if you are new to the genre, Tenebrae is a really good one to watch first. It's a really good introductory Giallo. I think that as far as the genre itself goes, there's probably 2 or 3 others that I might say that about that are a little older. But as far as the newer stuff, yeah, that one is up there for me as a first recommendation for people new to Giallo. I just love it. Argento is able to get style on screen in a way that nobody did before this. He captured not just the colors either. There's something about the imagery of everybody talks about the colors in Suspiria. It's not even really about the colors. Look at the framing of the windows on Suspiria. Look at the way that the lighting casts shadows across things. And there's no color in those shadows. It's the jagged lines crossing into each other that draws you in like a maze. You're immediately taken by them.
That's poetry. But yeah, that's a good reminder for us to look a little closer.
Yeah.
And not just say, oh, but the lights are pretty. The colors are pretty.
I mean, that does help. I'm not saying those aren't. They're gorgeous, but everybody, they always just talk about the colors, and there's a lot more to Argento than colors.
Well said. Okay, are we to my number 3?
Yes.
That was your number 3. Okay.
Yes.
My number 3 is Fatal Frames from 1996.
I've not seen this one either.
Oh, man. It is directed by Al Festa, who is a composer. So there's a great emphasis on music in this film. And
nice.
It's starring Al Festa's wife. So people have called this a vanity project. People hate this movie. But I freaking love it.
Nice. I mean, as somebody that loves music, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. It's very colorful. And it's just a mess. It's a big old mess. And I love it. It's very confusing, disorienting. but it stars like 90s hunks with long hair. It's just something completely different. And the killer uses a camcorder and records their victims. So it incorporates technology into the Giallo in a really interesting way. It's
nice.
Really fun. Highly recommend to people with questionable taste.
I love that sentence. That is a really good way to sell this movie. This has no Blu-ray anywhere in the world. I hope somebody puts this out.
I have an Italian Blu-ray.
It's not legitimate, I don't think. From what I can tell, it looks like it's a bootleg. But
really?
Yeah.
It's like, I think it's from Oblivion or something like that.
Yeah.
Dang.
That's okay. I've got quite a few bootlegs here myself. In fact,
well, it
I've got one.
Nice.
I've got one right here. Wet Hot American Summer. I've got quite a few bootlegs. That's okay.
I know nothing about bootleggedness.
There are. I've got a friend that works at a label in Germany, and Germany has a lot of companies that will find a file for a film and then press the disc with that file for the film on the disc, but never even ask about rights and hope that nobody says anything about it, and they get away with it for years. And you got to pay attention if you are trying to support very specific companies or trying to sell those titles. You got to pay attention to that for sure.
Okay. Well, someone needs to pick up Fatal Frames.
I may be asking a question about it to somebody I work with later.
Okay. And also, it has Donald Pleasance in it.
Oh, okay. That's an immediate sell, please. Yes.
It's his last movie. Yes. There you go. And it has Linnea Quigley in it.
I know somebody who's a close friend of Linnea Quigley. Now I got to ask about it.
And it has Angus Scrimm in it.
Oh, wow.
It's an important movie.
It sure sounds like it.
Go out there and fight for it.
I will do my best. My number 2 is also an important movie, one that I kind of mentioned in our video on my channel. Without this, we wouldn't have one of the most popular slasher franchises ever. So Mario Bava's A Bay of Blood is my number 2. And this might be the movie that made me love Jolly. It's, that, I don't know, like all of the tropes that we think about when we think of Jolly are kind of from this movie. Like everything is just silly and soap opera acting and black gloved killer and somebody lurking in the bushes, and everything about this is it's just Bava beauty. And I really hope people are still appreciating this movie because it set forth so many of the tropes that we were able to see in the future. Friday the 13th literally stole kills from this film and basically recrafted it frame by frame and made it much more famous. Bay of Blood is amazing and people should go check it out.
I always hear people speaking very highly of the film.
That's good.
I think it's still getting lots of love.
Good.
It has a nice way of combining slasher elements, and it still has a little bit of that like glamorous soap opera vibe to it as well.
Absolutely. It's sort of dreamy. Yeah.
So my number 2 is 1970s Forbidden Photos of a Lady Above Suspicion.
Amazing choice.
I was obsessed with that movie. I put it on, and it's just like a nice movie to hang out and have on while you're doing stuff around the house. It's just a vibe.
It's a comfort.
I love Dagmar Lassender. I don't know if it's Lassander or Lassender, but she's a queen, and I love the soundtrack. It's just such a nice movie.
Good. That's another one that doesn't get brought up so often. Definitely deserves to be. It's a pretty movie. It's well done. Mm. Good pick.
Yeah, I had a watch party. I watched it with some of my Discord people, and I didn't know what people would think about it because some people think it's kind of boring and slow or whatever. Yeah. But it was just so well received in the Discord. Everyone seemed to love it, so that was great.
Nice.
Are we at your number 1 now?
We're at my number 1 now.
Okay,
and
let's have it.
I did mention this in my video, so if you watch that first, this probably isn't a surprise. But Argento's the only one that could have two picks on my list, and so I have to go with 1987's Opera. This movie is
Yay!
beautiful start to finish. Christina Marcellic is a revelation in this movie. Her performance is unreal, and it's, for those that haven't seen it, it's a story about somebody that gets hit by a car. The movie is kind of rough throughout the entire thing, but she's injured outside of a theater and was in this little awkward argument with the director, and the understudy was given the role. And through everything that's happening, there's a killer that we don't know the identity of, and there's people that start to die, and then of course the iconic imagery comes into play, and the eyes being held open are just, it's something that I don't know if it's just me, but after watching that scene for the first time I saw this, I thought about that scene for days. Like, that is one of the most terrifying things of, I can't blink or I'm in extreme pain. That is the most sadistic thing ever. And now, like, it is this well-known picture that so many people have never seen the movie, but have seen that scene and are like, nope, not ever going to see it, or haven't never seen it. And it makes no sense. But I'm just like, I'm so proud that physical media is at a point in 2024 where that is getting this 5-disc beautiful release from Severn Films this year. And I was this close to working on it and getting an audio commentary on there, and the disc was so full that they had to pass on us. And it would have been like my life's dream already to be on one of my favorite movies of all time. Everybody should go pick it up. I know it's a little expensive, but it is absolutely worth it. Literally one of the most beautiful movies ever put to film. And the fact that Christina Marcellic came out of retirement a handful of years ago, and she was finally willing to speak on this movie. She's on the disc, on an audio commentary, and with an updated interview. That's never happened before. And that's why I love physical media. This year, I get to sit here and listen to what she thinks about this movie almost 40 years after it was made. That's beautiful.
What a time to be alive.
Yeah.
And what a time to be a physical media advocate.
I agree.
That's great. I see, and it's hard for me because, like, I just obtained Opera on DVD, on like a 2001 DVD. And now this comes out, So that's why, like, I'm struggling to upgrade, because a lot of times, like, I just got this movie.
I understand. And that's the thing is if you're not like a purist or a quality snob, there's no reason to necessarily upgrade. If you love your DVD, keep it. Ride it till it dies.
That's good advice. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. So now my number one favorite is something that I also already mentioned, and that is Martino's The Strange Vice of Mrs. Ward.
Beautiful movie.
It is beautiful. I just feel like I don't even... I was about to say, I just have nothing to say about it. Well, I love the trio, Even Rosimov, George Hilton, and Edwige Fenech. I love the three of them. I love that they're in this movie together. I love the psychedelic nature of the film, and the whole, like, it's got some, like, manipulation and gaslighting, but it also has a black gloved killer.
Yep.
It has the glamour. It's got everything. And of course the score is haunting and beautiful. And the film is a little bit more, I want to say it's a little more emotional than a lot of these movies, because at least for me, like, I really, really feel for Edwige's character. And so that makes it a film that I can't just throw on. Like, I have to be able to focus and pay real attention to it, because it's not so much of a fun time. It's like an emotional time a little bit.
Yeah. That's good. And yeah, a lot of Giallo is not like that. So the fact that it means that much to you, that's saying a lot. I'm glad that's number one.
Yeah.
Good pick.
That was a fun list.
Yeah. Yeah. Now I got a couple I got to go watch too. And one I got to go hopefully do some work for. I'll tell you what, if somehow, and this is probably not happening, it's probably stuck in Wright's Hill or something, but if it's possible and I somehow get it out there, I will get you a copy of Fatal Frames. If it
I mean,
somehow magically works.
I don't see why. I don't know anything about rights, but I think the director would be cool with it.
I'm sure he would, but unfortunately, a lot of them are somehow owned by Disney nowadays because of how much they have bought throughout the years. And so distribution rights in the U.S. fall to them. And once they do, our chain is done. We can't do anything else.
That's so messed up.
It really is.
Well, see what you can do. And then you can get a commentary by me. And the whole time I'll be like, I love this part. I love this part. I love this part.
Commentary. Now watch this.
Look at those pretty colors.
And this is Donald Pleasance. Okay, now watch what he does. Wow, wasn't that cool?
Oh, it's like watching movies with my friend.
Yeah, I love doing that. Yeah, look over and stare, make sure they're watching the good parts.
Yep. Well, before we wrap this up, is there anything that I haven't asked you that you would like my viewers to know about your channel, which I highly recommend you all go check out Disconnected. But yes, did I leave anything out?
I don't think so. I do a lot, and I really try to pride myself on having, I don't know, integrity is kind of not the right word, even though I act with integrity in everything I do. But there's other channels that try to do a lot of the stuff that I do, but they're all about like clickbait and being the first one to bring rumors to everybody. I don't deal with rumors. I try to give the companies the respect of announcing their titles instead of, leaking that they're putting something out. So I don't ever talk about something unless they've announced it. And, that this year is a prime example. We've had Warner Brothers. You can pre-order Nightmare on Elm Street on 4K. I've never announced it on my show because we don't have any details. Warner Brothers hasn't put out a press release. I don't know what the art's going to be. We don't know any of the special features. I don't need to get everybody all excited and say, hey, this must mean all of the Nightmare on Elm Street films are coming to 4K soon. Get ready to buy them all. If I wanted, 5,000 people to watch the video, sure, but I'm much more about the truth and getting people to feel like they're led by somebody that's honest. So I don't get as many views as some of these other channels that do that, but I feel a lot better when I go to sleep at night.
I love that. Thank you for your service. You're the one that I'll be trusting.
That means the world. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. I'm so glad that we did this. It's been nice to have a guest, and you are a great first guest to have back in a long time.
I hope I helped, and now you can do 30 more with somebody else that's also awesome. So I'm excited to see what you got coming up.
Thank you for telling me about Gummo.
I'm so glad we got that moment. Everybody needs to come over and watch my video just to see Katie almost cry.
I had to hold it in. All right. Thanks again, Ryan. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.